What's going on, guys? It's Sensei Adam, and today I want to discuss my tier list rankings for all the brawlers in the game. So what I'm going to do is discuss every single brawler in order from worst to best and list out what are their strengths, their weaknesses, and also how Supercell should change them in the future. But the way I list out my tier list is different than other people. Basically, we have 5 different categories going from S all the way to D. D are the characters that are extremely underpowered and really need a buff, and S are the ones that are very overpowered and need a nerf. The ideal situation would be for every character to be in the B tier, basically average and balanced. I am though just going to list out the main details, but not go into too much detail for each character, because if I discuss them for way too long, this video is probably going to be like 30 minutes long. But without any further ado, let's just get started. First off, we start off with the D tier. Now on this tier, it's usually a character that can only be played on one game mode, and usually in that game mode, they're not the most dominant character there, so they're very limited. And for the worst brawler, we have Piper. And the reason for that is just the changing environments in the game. A lot of different characters got speed buffs, especially her nemesis Colt, who is most likely now a better option in Bounty, which is her only playable game mode. Another issue is she has a really long reload time. So if you have no ammo, your opponent's already gonna regen all of your HP. Along with that, she's a lot more squishy than a character like Colt, who has 400 more HP than her, and her super is very predictable where she's gonna land at. And that's why I believe Piper's at the bottom of the list. Now our only other character in the D tier is Jessie, and her only truly playable game mode is Smash and Grab. Even then, she's probably not even in the top 5 brawlers for Smash and Grab. There's a few issues I see with Jessie. Basically, her shot travels way too slow, so it's very easy to dodge for skilled players. And 2, her turret is very easy to destroy. If the team has a barley or a dynamite, it's basically gone. She also has a pretty slow reload time, even though her attack is pretty difficult to hit because it's slow, and it doesn't do too much damage. Now moving on to the C tier, in this ranking we also have characters that are usually only dominant on one game mode, but they can't translate that skills into different game modes. And first I have on the list is Poco. Now I wasn't sure if I should put him on the D tier, on the C tier, but I kind of believe he was still an okay gem carrier on some maps, and you can play him in Brawl Ball in some of the maps as an okay defender, but nothing spectacular. But the issues I see with Poco is that currently it's just a long range meta and he doesn't fit that meta. Characters like Colt and Rico dominate, while somebody like Poco has trouble getting close to them and doing significant damage. And his role as the primary gem carrier has stumbled recently because Pam has become another good option. Number 16 on the list, we have Mortis. Now, as you all know, Mortis is an absolute beast in Brawl Ball, but only if you really know how to play him and you have good teammates around you. But other than that, he's basically unusable in every single game mode. You could play him in Smash and Grab, but he right now just seems like a big liability when you do so. Cause when you do, if you try and be the gem carrier and hide, your team's gonna be faced with a 2v3 and usually lose control of the middle. I see 2 ways that they can improve Mortis and not make him broken. 1, make it so his reload speed is faster, so he can be more of an assassin character and have more damage per second, or they can do what people have been saying and increase his speed back to 750. But some people have been saying that that will make him even stronger in Brawl Ball. So yeah, I don't know what Supercell is going to do with that. Moving on to number 15, which is Nita. Now Nita's primary game mode is Smash and Grab, but you can play her in Showdown and do good with her. But in Showdown, you usually have to rely on teaming, because in Showdown, if you usually get caught by a team with Nita, you're probably gonna die. On Smash and Grab though, she is a good aggro player, and you can just taunt them by going to their side and doing some damage to them. But there are a few issues with Nita. First, her attack range isn't too long, and her attacks takes a little bit of time to travel. So usually even if they're at the edge 4th of your range, if they just walk backwards and you're following them, they can easily avoid your attacks. And secondly, her bear takes way too many hits to charge. Right now it takes 7 hits to get a bear, and most of the times it gets almost no hits off towards another super, compared to almost everybody else's super that usually gets them a little bit closer towards another one. So my suggestion with Nita is to either make her bear take 6 hits instead of 7 to charge, or make her range just a tiny little bit further. But the super charge time is probably the best option. Moving on to the next rank, we got Pam. Pam is another character where she's only decent on one game mode, which is smash and grab, and she's basically awful on almost every other game mode. But now though, she does seem like a better gem carrier option other than Poco. The issue I see with Pam though is she's probably almost always going to stay in the C tier, because if they buff her anymore, she's going to be extremely overpowered in smash and grab while still being not very competitive in other game modes. It just feels like they built her specifically for smash and grab. And last but not least, on the C tier, we have Bull. Now I wasn't too sure if I should put him at the bottom of the B tier or at the top of the C, but I ended up putting him at C. And the reason I have him this low is because he has so many things that he's probably the worst at. He probably has the worst star power in the game. All it does is make him shoot faster when he has less than 50% HP. But most of the time when you do have that little HP, you want to get back and regen your health. You don't want to go and keep attacking your opponents. And the second thing, his super is probably one of the worst, if not the worst in the game. You can't stop his charge where you want to land at. His charge is considerably slower and shorter than somebody like Daryl. And since his charge is slower, it's very easy for opponents to start shooting at you while you're mid-charge. So you're usually going to lose a lot of HP while going on the charge. So for Bull, I would prefer for them to switch it up to something better like Daryl's star power, where he becomes 80% immune to all damage during his charge, and they increase the speed of his charge so it goes a little bit faster. And maybe that will get Bull up to the B tier. Now moving on up to the B tier, here we have the character that I think are completely balanced. They can be played on 2 or more game modes, but they're not overpowered on those game modes. And first off, we have Dynamite. Now before he was considered one of the best characters, but now since there are so many characters that move faster and make it harder for him to hit his dynamite sticks, he went down a little bit. And his one glaring weakness is if anybody gets close to him, it's almost game over. It's tough to hit those shots when they're right next to you, because the dynamite sticks don't spread out when they're close to you. So if they were ever to buff him, I don't know why they would. They should make his dynamite sticks spread out, so if you shoot them at your feet, they don't just stick together like they do now. Moving on up the list, we have another tank, El Primo. And I believe he could be a little bit higher, but right now, like I said before, it's the long range meta. Lots of long range characters have a big advantage over short range guys. El Primo is an okay aggro player, but there's probably some more better options other than him. The one thing they should probably fix that would probably make him a little bit better is when you use a super and you land on somebody, they don't go away from you. Right now, if you use your super and land on somebody, for some reason they go further away from you, and they can escape your incoming attacks. So if they really want to buff him, they need to just make his super's knockback go away, so you can actually kill somebody when you use your super on them. Next up on the list, and we have reached the midway point, we have Spike. Now Spike is a tricky one because he's an okay aggro player in smash and grab, and he's playable in bounty, but he's not too strong because his health is very low compared to other short range aggro players. So in my opinion, for Spike to be good, you have to have his special ability, so you have to have him maxed out. His star power just gives him so much HP per second while he's at short range attacking people. On to 9th place on our list, we have Shelly. Now on other lists, I've seen her ranked lower than this, and I don't know why. For me, she's smack down in the middle of the rankings. In my opinion, she's the 3rd best brawler for Brawl Ball behind Mortis and Colt, and she's the best aggro player for smash and grab, especially on maps like Mushroom Cave where you can hide behind a bush and just surprise them with your super and go boom and get another one instantly. Up to 8th place, we have Bo. Now Bo has improved a ton since I last ranked him. Before, I believe I put him next to last on my tier list, but now I have him almost in the middle of the pack. And the reason for that is that he's made a resurgence in bounty, especially all these maps with a ton of grass, like Snake Prairie, Outlaw Camp, and Terracotta Square. You just have a bigger advantage when you can see all the way through the bushes with him. And he's still an okay gem carrier / support role in smash and grab. Coming in at the top of the B tier is Terra. And the reason she's over here is because for me, she seems like a weaker version of Crow, but with a stronger super. She has about the same range as Crow, but her reload speed is longer. She doesn't do poison damage, and she's slower. But she does have a little bit more health than him, so that's good. But the thing that sets Tara apart is her super. If you can coordinate with your teammates and use somebody like Brock or Barley, you can use that super to just annihilate your opponents. Even if you don't coordinate with your teammates, you can just use your super, have all 3 of your attacks, then just blast the area of your super and kill everybody inside. She's also the 4th best option for Brawl Ball and a really good option for Bounty and Smash and Grab. Moving on up to the A tier, we have characters that are dominant in 1 or 2 game modes, but they're still pretty much playable on every single game mode. And starting off the list, we have Brock. And the reason why I have him up on the A tier is basically he's still extremely dominant in Bounty. He's one of your must-pick plays for that game mode. And he's also a good option when you're playing some Smash and Grab, as this super provides a bunch of area control for your team. And he's pretty playable on Brawl Ball and Heist, although he's probably not the best option to pick on those game modes. Now, number 5 on our list, we have Daryl. And you might be thinking, why do I have him up so high on the list? And that's because after playing the new Daryl that they just buffed for a while, he just seems so good at being aggro on both Smash and Grab and Bounty. His increased speed allows you to get to people faster. His super allows you to escape from sticky situations or just bounce around and kill people. And even if you're on the countdown, you know that you can just use your super to get close to them, or you can just use it when you grab the gems and roll all the way back to your base. And unlike Bull's super, he rolls extremely fast, so it's a lot tougher to hit him. And when you have him maxed out, he takes only 20% of the damage while he rolls. So whenever I think I'm rolling, I'm basically invincible and can't die. On to number 4 on our list, we have Barley. Although you don't see him as much as you did before, his area control is still there. His super still prevents people from going to an area for like 5 seconds. The only thing though is it takes a little bit longer for you to get it. He's still one of the best options you can pick for Heist, and he's playable on every single game mode. Not only playable, he's probably above average on every single game mode. But the only reason why I don't have him up higher is a lot of people, like I said, got speed buffs, so his attack at max range is harder to hit on those people that got those buffs. Right at the top of the A tier and number 3 on our list, we have Ricochet. Rico's just become a dominant force in the current meta of the game. He has the longest range in the game, he has an extremely fast reload time. I believe his reload time when you're not shooting is just 1 second, so it's just extremely fast, and it usually feels you have unlimited bullets and you can just keep firing forever. Plus, his new star power is one of the strongest in the game. Use his specialty, which is already to bounce shots off the walls, to increase the damage that your bullets do, which is just a very strong attribute that he has. The one thing though I see as both an advantage and disadvantage is that his bullets spread out as they travel. And the reason for that is it just helps you hit that one bullet to keep them from regenning, but if you're shooting them at a straight line, like not trying to bounce shots off the wall, it's usually hard to hit all of your bullets. His specialties are Bounty and Smash and Grab. Now we move on to the beasts of the game, the overpowered bunch. The ones that you can use on almost every single game mode, and they'll usually dominate on every single mode. Starting off with number 2 is Colt. Colt just has everything going for him. He recently got his very strong star power, which makes him fast, and that's a big deal. Since he's a long range character, he's gonna be going against other long range damage dealers. His speed just makes it so much easier to dodge bullets. Like let's say you're in Bounty going against the Piper. She's gonna have a tough time landing shots against you. So that's one of the reasons why he's so good. Another one is that he has a good amount of HP for a long range damage dealer. He has 2,800 base. He basically has the same health as a Mortis or a Jessie, which is crazy since he outputs so much damage. Even if somebody's at close range to you, you can hit all your bullets and do a crazy amount of damage. And even though they nerfed his reload time, it still feels pretty fast and that you have almost unlimited bullets and you can wreck almost anybody. He just feels like one of the most versatile players right now. What I would do probably is lower his HP a little bit, For me, it just feels like he has too much health and too much damage at the same time. One of those two things has to go. Or they can just rework his star power to be something different. His speed just doesn't fit with him being a long range damage dealer. And of course, number 1, Crow. Crow is still the best and the most versatile player out of everybody. He has an insane range. Look at how far it goes. It's even larger than Terra's range. You can just stay at a distance, keep poisoning people, and 4 ticks is still a long time. It prevents them from going to the middle or to the objective for about 8 seconds. So in those 8 seconds you can just keep working on poisoning them, keeping them at low HP, and the cycle keeps going. Whenever I play Crow, I always feel like the game's on easy mode. Everything just seems so much easier. Like with this speed, you can dodge things a lot easier. And don't even get me started on his new super. It now serves 2 purposes instead of just previously being an escape mechanism. My favorite thing to do with Crow is you just poison people twice and get their HP below 2000. And when you do, you can just use your super to jump right on top of them and use your attacks to just slaughter them. He's just extremely strong. You can use him in every single game mode. I'm not even kidding. Every game mode and succeed with him. And in a game like Smash and Grab, he can play 2 roles. He can play both the gem carrier because he can escape very fast, and he can even play support / aggro because he can just stay long range with this super, jump on the enemy when they're low and destroy them. But anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed the list. Did you agree with it? Did you disagree? Are there some things you would change? If there are, just leave it in the comments. I always read all of the comments, so just leave your opinions right on there. And if you want to see my old tier list rankings before the huge update, I'll leave that in the description. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.